So that's so I can see down the back, down the straight, but then I lose them coming out of the other hairpin that way.
Well, welcome along to Donington Park, everybody, for the final weekend of racing in the 2022 Radical SR1 Cup Championship. We'll be crowning a champion over the course of either this race or the race later on today. Mathematically, we could stitch up the championship in this race, subject to what happens. It's round 12 of the championship that is coming up. Slightly breezy, slightly cool here at Donington Park. It's just got that slight autumnal feel to it. Nice and warm when you're in the sun. Get in the shade and yeah, you can really start to feel the chill. So we'll see what happens over the course of this 20-minute race that is coming up. The cars already are making their way on towards the grid, and this grid of course is set by the qualifying times that were posted earlier on this morning. Their second fastest times from qualifying will work out how the grid will form up for our final race of the 2022 championship season. So all of the cars now making their way onto the grid. You can see that the safety car is there at the front of the grid, and then shortly they'll be off on a formation lap around what is the Donington Park Grand Prix circuit. So it's the full sort of almost 2.5 mile. It's 2.4873 miles, the Donington Park Grand Prix circuit. So rather than come down the straight and flick right and left at what would be the Roberts chicane, they flick left and right through the S's, down through the Melbourne hairpin and up towards Goddard. So we add on that extra loop that creates the Donington Park Grand Prix circuit. And the man who leads the championship, Daryl de Leon, has claimed a good chunk of wins so far this year. He won here at Donington Park when we're on the national circuit, which opened up the championship season for the Radical SR1s. That was way back on the 9th of April. He claimed another win at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit. He took 2 wins at Snetterton and also 2 wins out of the 3 races at Silverstone, and one last time out at Oulton Park as well. So he's been the most winningest driver so far this season. And he leads the championship by 54 points with 84 still available. So mathematically we could, as we say, crown Daryl de Leon, subject to official confirmation, the champion at the end of this race, depending on where he gets on, relative to Ben Casely, who is second in the championship. So those are the 2 drivers that mathematically could become the champion, but it would need Daryl de Leon to have a bit of a poor result here to keep the championship hopes alive of Ben Casely. So as they head off on their formation lap, let me just guide you through the grid then. It's number 2 Daryl de Leon who will start from pole position, and 53 Ben Casely's alongside the 2 main championship protagonists on the front row of the grid. Row 2 of the grid is number 20, which is Tom Wood alongside 7 Fraser McFadden, and row 3 sees 34, which is Sven Thompson back in the championship, lining up alongside 45, which will be George Nutton for this race. The 4th row of the grid is 25 Paul Denning alongside 66 Brian Caldwell, with row 5 being number 40 James Hadley alongside the 2nd member of the Denning family. Car number 26 is Oliver Denning. The 6th row of the grid is 71, that's Jody Lees alongside 55 James Ockenden. And the 7th and final row of the grid is 33, which is Paul Atherton, alongside car number 90, which runs in the invitation class for this weekend, which is Steve Alvarez Brown. So that is the way that they line up in these identical Radical SR1 Cup cars, all powered by the Radical Performance Engines Suzuki tuned Generation 2 motor. So it's a 1340cc engine in these cars, and we have the main category, the main championship, but we also have subcategories. So the Fangio class is for, let's say, drivers of a certain age. They take the average age of the drivers entered at the beginning of the season and work out as to each year whether you're eligible for the Fangio class or not. So whereas in some championships, if you're above 40, you're eligible for a different class. It changes with the Fangio class each year. And we've also got the rookie class as well for those drivers that maybe are in their formative process of going through motorsport. So we could see all of them trying to work some temperature into the tyres. A little snatch brake there as well, heading up in towards Coppice Corner. That was James Ockenden who just snatched the brake a little bit there on their control Hankook tyres that all of these cars run. You can see them weaving from side to side to try and build a little bit of tyre temperature. As I say, once you get in the shadows, you can really feel that it is quite chilly out there today, albeit it is lovely when you're in the sunshine. So we'll have to wait and see what happens in this one. So Daryl de Leon has already claimed a championship point, because there's 1 single championship point for pole position. You get an extra point for fastest lap as well, so we'll keep an eye as to where that is going. But for the main championship scoring, then 40 points for a race win, 35 for second, 30 for third, then it's 27, 24, 22, and so on. It diminishes all the way down, that if you finish outside of the top 20, then it's a single championship point. But with 14 cars on the grid, And the minimum points anybody should be picking up if they all finish would be 8 championship points, even if you're the last of the finishers, with 14 cars having qualified over the course of this morning. So 20 minutes are on the clock. The safety car is about to bring the cars round through Goddard's corner, and it will peel its way left and into the pit lane. Dow de Leon starting there from pole position. The white, the grey, the gold, the red car alongside the largely white and blue car of Ben Casely, the 2 championship protagonists on the front row of the grid. We might be crowning a champion over the course of the next 20 minutes, subject to official confirmation, of course. And then, as we see the lights are on the Grand Prix, they flick their way out now, and we're away and racing. Round 12 of the 2022 Radical SR1 Cup Championship gets underway here at Donington Park as they carve their way up towards Redgate Corner for the first time. Ben Casely looking as though he's going to try and squeeze his way through into the lead of the race, and I think he's made it stick there, Ben Casely, as they head onto the top of the Craner curves. Yet Ben Casely leads the way. Dow de Leon, the pole sitter, down into second place. It's Tom Wood that's there in third place, and that certainly looks like Fraser McFadden is there in fourth position at the moment as they head down through the old hairpin for the first time, still trying to build up the tyre temperatures in the early stages, but everybody is safely through at least the first third of a lap as they now pick their way through the sweeping left-hander at Schwantz curve and into the braking area for McLean's corner, side by side for third and fourth place as Tom Wood looks to try and squeeze his way through and past Fraser McFadden, and he's made it stick by the look of things. So Tom Wood now up into third and now up into second as he sneaks up the inside of Darryl de Leon here, who I think certainly will be trying to do the maths whilst he's driving, and sitting there in third position would still be good enough for him to secure the championship, but he's coming back here to try and get himself back into second place, but he's on the outside line as they head in towards the S's, and sweeping right the way through the outside goes the number 7 car of Fraser McFadden. He draws himself alongside Darryl de Leon going into the corner. He draws himself alongside Tom Wood coming out of the corner, and they are still altogether 4 wide going in towards the Melbourne hairpin. That's not going to work. Fraser McFadden locks the brakes, runs very wide indeed. That will drop him down through the order, but 4 wide going into the Melbourne hairpin on the first lap. You would not expect them all to come out pointing in the same direction, but fair play, they're all there, but then there is contact, and I'm afraid that is into the side of Darryl de Leon, who is the championship leader, and it's the number 45 car of George Nutton that has caused some problems there. He should be able to get going. Is there damage on his car? More importantly, is there damage on the championship leader Darryl de Leon's number 2 car, because he was the car that the contact was made with. So through and over the start-finish line they'll go. Ben Casely, second in the championship, trying to keep his championship hopes alive, leads the race at this stage. Tom Wood is there in second place. Darryl de Leon was in third over the start-finish line, but he's now dropped to fourth place by the look of things, and that looks as though that car now has got a problem, and it's a rear puncture, and off and into the gravel trap is going to go Darryl de Leon, and I think that is going to be it. Yeah, the championship leader is out of the race into the gravel trap down there at the old hairpin, and that has enormous implications for the championship. Darryl de Leon is not going to be overly happy, I would have thought, with that one, but the racing continues in the meantime with still 17.5 minutes to go and still some good squabbles through the field, as well as James Ockenden runs wheel to wheel there with James Hadley's car and sneaks his way through. So that will be a change for what will be, I think, 6th position between those two. Side by side in towards the braking area for the S's comes the number 66 car in the hands of long-time Radical racer nowadays, Brian Caldwell. Seen him out racing in the Radical Challenge for a good number of years. And his brother John Caldwell stepping back to the SR1 Cup for this season. And then also, very late on the brakes in towards the Melbourne hairpin, goes Fraser McFadden again as he tries to gain places, having outbraked himself and dropped to 7th at the end of the first lap of the race. So there'll be localised yellow flags, one would have thought, down at the old hairpin, but I can see safety car boards coming out by the look of things, so that's going to bunch the field up, I'm afraid to say. So safety car is coming out, one can only assume, because it's deemed that Darryl de Leon's car is not in a safe place down there at the Melbourne hairpin. And I think other than that, every other car has come through. Yeah, so Darryl de Leon's car is the only car that did not come through at the end of that particular lap, so that is why the safety car is out there, and it does mean that Ben Casely, who had built up a 3.4 second advantage in the lead of the race, is going to have all of that disappear. Now, with Darryl de Leon having not posted a finish, he would pick up a single championship point for what would be the pole position. Ben Casely at the moment, we've only had one true flying lap at this stage, but he has set the fastest lap of the race, which would give him a championship point, and if he were to win as well, I think that would put him on 401 points compared to the 415 of Darryl de Leon the man who has brought about this safety car. So that would mean there'd be 14 points between them heading into the final championship race later on today. But of course, you know, checkered flag is still 15.5 minutes away, and Ben Caisley has still got a chunk of work to do, as and when we get racing once more. So the order at the moment, number 53, Ben Caisley, leading the way. Second is the number 20 car in the hands of Tom Wood. So he sits there in second position. Tom Wood, who has claimed a couple of wins so far this season. We haven't seen him in for the full championship, Tom, but he did win at Silverstone and at Alton Park, as the rather forlorn sight of Darrell de Leon's car is winched out of harm's way. So it's only going to be a very brief safety car period. Third at the moment is 66, Brian Caldwell. Fourth is Fraser McFadden. Fifth is number 34, which is Sven Thompson, and James Ockenden completes the top 6 at the moment. Seventh is James Hadley. Eighth place is going to be Jody Lees. Ninth will be the car of Paul Atherton, and completing the top 10 at the moment is Paul Denning. So that's the order of the top 10. Safety car now, is it going to come in at the end of this lap? Yes, it is, because the lights are out, so the safety car will be peeling its way in at the end of this lap, and it will be up to the number 53 car of Ben Caisley to decide as to when he wants to get things back underway again. He's already been twice a race winner so far this year. He won the opening round at Donington Park on the 9th of April. He went back to the top step of the podium at Brands Hatch on the Grand Prix circuit on the 8th of May. He has had, what, four fourth places and a 5th so far this season. He's not had a second, amazingly. He's had wins or thirds when he's been on the podium as Ben Caisley. But what he will want to do is make sure he wins this one and try and set the fastest lap, so that it puts him in a reasonable position for the final championship battle that looks as though it's going to happen later on this afternoon now. So over the start-finish line now we go. Ben Caisley leads the way. Good restart from him. Tom Wood gets a good start as well. It looks as though we are side by side for 5th and 6th place heading up towards the braking area. That'll be Sven Thompson under pressure from James Ockenden, but it looks as though Sven Thompson has managed to hang on to 5th place as they start to dive down through the Craner curves. And they've sort of paired off, haven't they, really, for the moment? Down through the Craner curves, we can see the pair fighting for the lead, the pair fighting for 3rd, the pair fighting for 5th place as James Ockenden sneaks up the inside of Sven Thompson. Good move that, manages to wiggle his way through. So James Ockenden, who qualified 12th, is now up into 5th position. So qualifying really didn't go that well for the largely white and purple number 55 car in the hands of James Ockenden, who lies 4th in the championship standings, and he's been really consistent so far this season. And Fraser McFadden also is going to have a problem. He goes into the gravel trap trying to sneak through and ahead of Brian Caldwell, but that does not work. The number 7 car beached in the gravel at Coppice Corner. That is certainly going to bring out localised yellows, and again could potentially bring out another safety car period. But racing continues for the meantime as we head down in towards the S's, with this time looking as though James Hadley is trying to sneak through and gain a place, and managed to do so. So with all of that, Ben Caisley and Tom Wood very much on their own for the lead of the race at the moment. Everybody else fighting over the positions further back. A spin, and that looks as though that may well be Paul Denning that's had the spin as he gets going again. Yes, it is. So it's number 25 car Paul Denning that had the rotation. Harmless spin. And I think, and I fear, we might be going safety car once more because of the stricken car of Fraser McFadden. We'll have to wait and see. The cars seem to have slowed as they've come over the start-finish line. And yes, it looks as though we are going back towards full course caution once more. You can see the SC boards flashing, indicating that there's a safety car. The marshals waving their yellow flags, and there is the BMW safety car. So it wasn't long, was it, before we saw the safety car reintroduced. So for Ben Caisley and Tom Wood, who'd got the break on the pack behind, they've got it all to do again, I'm afraid to say. So down through the Craner curves there we'll go. There is Fraser McFadden's car already being hooked up onto one of the telehandlers. And then once that car is safely moved out of harm's way, we'll be good to get going again. But it really depends. I don't think there's a gap in the Armco barriers at that point, which is up at Coppice Corner, so they'll probably drag the car more towards the entrance of the corner, so all the way into the gravel, right the way up towards the wall, and probably where you can see the red and white painted wall in the background. They'll probably bring it to that point, I would have thought. So it might be possibly 2 laps behind the safety car this time. I'll have to wait and see as to what communication is going on between race control and officials in that area, and therefore whether it's a single lap behind the safety car or whether there might be the requirement for 2 this time through. So Ben Caisley leads the way under safety car, Tom Wood 2nd, Sven Thompson is 3rd, Brian Caldwell is 4th, James Hadley is 5th, 6th is Jody Lees, who's come from 11th on the grid as things currently stand, and then in 7th place is going to be the number 33 car. That will be the car of Paul Atherton. He's come from 13th on the grid. Then it will be Darren Nutton, who is in 8th place. 9th will be Oliver Denning. Completing the top 10 at the moment will be Steve Alvarez Brown. So that gives you the order. The big loser, just prior to all of that, of course, was the car of Fraser McFadden, which tried a move to try and get himself right up into the order. Couldn't quite sneak through at the inside of Brian Caldwell, and into the gravel he went, bringing about this safety car period. So lights are off on the safety car. It is just a short safety car again, so just a further single lap behind the safety car, but we've already had half of the race go. We've only completed 4 laps so far, so they'll complete lap number 5 this time as they come over the start-finish line. But of course, 2 of those 5 laps have been behind the safety car, so hopefully we'll be green for the rest of the way. Now for Ben Caisley, he's got it all to do again. He's a man that is wanting to try and close the championship gap between himself and Daryl de Leon. And by winning this race, he could certainly do that. But Tom Wood is almost riding on his coattails, isn't he? And finally, Ben Caisley gets the race back underway. He decides when he wants to thrust his foot onto the accelerator, and they all charge their way up towards Redgate Corner with Brian Caldwell getting a good restart here. He might be up into 3rd place. Can he sneak up the inside of Sven Thompson? He's trying it. Doesn't quite work as they head through Redgate Corner. So the number 66 car in the hands of the philanthropist still sits there in 4th position as they charge their way down through the Craner curves. And certainly another car that's looking to try and make progress is James Ockenden once more, who got the jump there on James Hadley's grey car and snuck through in ahead. So James Ockenden has had a bit of a yo-yo race really, down through the order, back up through it, back down through it, and is now trying to work his way back into contention again once more. So through McLean's Corner, and as they then head out of McLean's Corner, they're into the difficult right-hander at Coppice Corner, as James Hadley now sneaks at the inside of the number 66 car of Brian Caldwell, gains a place there over Brian Caldwell, who is now coming under pressure from the black car with the red flashes to it in the hands of Paul Denning, who sneaks out from behind him, draws himself alongside, having utilised the slipstream. He's got the inside line for the S's. Can he brave it out? Yep, through he goes, gets the job done. Paul Denning gains the place. Place lost for Brian Caldwell, who started this lap in what was 4th position, and I think he's going to be outside of the top 6 by the time he comes over the start-finish line. He's going to try and have a re-attack as he heads in towards the braking area for the Melbourne hairpin, but Paul Denning has got that one absolutely covered off. And as they now work their way up towards the left-hander at Goddard's, it should still be Ben Caisley that is leading the race at this stage. Great fights going on all the way down through the order though. So Paul Denning having gained a place now over James Hadley. James Hadley under attack from the number 66 car in the hands of Brian Caldwell. Whilst out front, Ben Caisley leads the way by nearly a second at this stage. The number 53 car leads by, whereas it's the black and yellow car of Tom Wood that's currently there in 2nd position with just over 7.5 minutes in this penultimate round of the 2022 Radical SR1 Championship still to go. So down through the Craner curves. Brian Caldwell lost 3 places on that lap, running very wide down through the old hairpin, and all over the grass goes James Hadley. Just about stays within the confines of the circuit, but that's going to lose him a further place, I'm afraid to say, as I think Darren Nutton was looking to try and squeeze his way through and managed to do so. The number 45 car, also the 26 going through as well, which is going to be the car of Oliver Denning. So 2 places lost there for James Hadley. Now, leading the rookie class at the moment, which we haven't really touched on as yet, is the car that is in 3rd position now. James Ockenden at the wheel of the number 55 car is the leading rookie we've got in the field. And the problem there for James Hadley also means that now he has dropped down through the Fangio battle as well for the older drivers in the order. Leading the Fangio class at this stage is going to be the number 25 car in the hands of Paul Denning. He will lead the Fangio class. So there is our leading rookie, James Ockenden, in 3rd position. Great restart from him. He gained 7 places after that safety car restart, so really got on with it beautifully well. And there is the man who potentially is going to claim the win here. Still 6.5 minutes to go. Over the start-finish line goes Ben Caisley, sets the fastest lap of the race. That could be important because that carries with it an extra championship point at this stage. And remember, if he wins this race and sets the fastest lap, if my maths are right, there'll be 14 points between Ben Caisley and race retiree Daryl de Leon, who will still hang on to the championship lead, but 14 points will be the gap, with what will be 42 points still available in the second race of the weekend here, and the final race of the season it will be. So Ben Caisley now leading by 2.1 seconds from Tom Wood. James Ockenden is a bit further back. That is all through the gravel for Brian Caldwell. Should be able to rally across his way back out. Yep, so out of the gravel, back onto the grass. The Hankook tyres get a bit more traction on the green stuff than they do on the gravel, but it's the black stuff where he wants to be. And he finally works his way back onto the tarmac, and that is going to drop Brian Caldwell now well outside of the top 6. So he was in 6th position. He's going to be down towards the bottom of the top 10, I would have thought now, something like that. So 5 minutes to go, a quarter of the race still remaining. In towards the braking area for the S's comes Paul Denning, the man who is leading the Fangio class at the moment for the slightly older drivers in the field. There is the leader of the rookie category, which is the man who completes the final step of the podium at the moment, number 55, James Ockenden. But he's not got Sven Thompson that far away from him, actually. Sven, who is well used to preparing radicals. He's into a race team which have not just run in the domestic radical championships, but also throughout Europe as well, in the European Championship when it was around. And it's good to see Sven back behind the wheel of an SR1. It was a long, long time ago, I think, I last saw him behind the wheel of an SR1. And that was probably when Rockingham was still open as a racing circuit in the UK. So on to the top of the trainer curves goes Ben Casely, leading by nearly 3 seconds now from Tom Wood. The black car with the yellow flashes in the background is the car in 2nd place. You can just about see the relative gap of 1st to 2nd. But for Ben Casely, he'll be wanting to try and scoop up for him what would be win number 3 of the championship season. It's been a long time coming if he can hang on to it. It was the 8th of May. The last time we saw Ben on the top step of the podium. Slight mistake there down at the old hairpin for George Nutten. Just, I think, was picked off there by Oliver Denning. He was able to wiggle his way through a pass. So the number 26 car of Oliver Denning gaining a place over Darren Nutten. It says Darren Nutten on the timing screen. I thought George Nutten was doing the first race when I spoke to Darren earlier on. So I'm going to stick with George Nutten, because that was what I was informed rather than what the timing screen is telling me. We've got just over 3.5 minutes to go. Race leader has completed 8 laps of the race so far. Having gained a place, Oliver Denning is now finding himself back under pressure from the number 45 car in the hands of George Nutten. Those two busy squabbling away. Are we going to see anything down at the Melbourne hairpin? No. The number 45 car brakes as late as it can. Is it going to try and triangulate the corner? Yeah, later turning to try and get on the power a little bit quicker coming off the corner, but then just runs out very, very slightly wide there as George Nutten. And problems, and that's a car going slowly, and that looks like it is James Ockenden's car. The white car with the purple flashes to it, creeping its way up towards Goddard's corner. That was the car that was running in 3rd position and was leading the rookie class, and I'm afraid it's all gone wrong for James Ockenden. The man who lies 4th in the championship standings is going to post what for him is just his first retirement of the 2022 championship season. He limps the car back into the pit lane, and now that means that leading the rookie class is going to be this car here, the grey car, number 26 of Oliver Denning, is the leading rookie that we've got in the field at the moment. Now, Oliver Denning still under pressure from George Nutten that sits behind, and that will be for the lead of the rookie class as well now, so both of those eligible for the rookie category. We'll have to wait and see as to who's going to come out on top again. Really sideways, the car sliding all around there of George Nutten as he tries to gather it up, gets the car back under his spell once more. He lost maybe an extra car length or so as a result of that slightly squirrely moment, but he's back on it again now. Will pick up a little bit of the toe of the car ahead of Oliver Denning, which means the gap will close as they head down now into the braking area for the S's and head onto the Grand Prix loop this time through. Bit more speed through the S's maybe for George Nutten, might just allow him to close ever more as they head down into the braking area, the downhill braking area for the Melbourne hairpin. Again, those subtly different lines taken, but George Nutten again, I think, was just a little bit too keen to carry a bit too much speed through that corner there. Again, you can see the car just sliding around underneath him and having to apply a little bit of opposite lock to bring the car back under his spell. Now they should be heading on to their penultimate lap of the race this time through. So I think Ben Casely was over the start-finish line with just more than a lap time to spare. So they're on lap number 11 currently. This is the fight for what will be 5th and 6th position, but more importantly, it's 2 rookies busy squabbling away at this stage. And they have plenty of daylight between themselves and the car that's 7th at the moment, which is the car of James Hadley. So they can just crack on with their little squabble. Again, you could see the car moving around again of George Nutten. I think he was just about to run a little bit wide again there, coming out of the old hairpin. Yeah, that's dropped him another car length further away from his target. And with the clock ticking down, time and opportunities are running out here for George Nutten. If he wants to try and squeeze his way through up into 5th position, he needs to crack on with it. So 30 seconds to go. In towards the braking area for the S's is the number 34 car. That's Sven Thompson, who at the moment is destined to cap off the podium unless the car behind can do anything about it, which is Paul Denning, who still continues to lead the Fangio class at this stage. Big question is, though, is Ben Casely definitely going to get over the start-finish line before the checkered flag? Because that is only now 10 seconds away from coming out. And as he exits Goddard's, is he going to make it to the checkered flag in time? It was nip and tuck, but I think he's just going to get over the start-finish line. Yeah, 3 seconds to go, which means he's got one more lap to do now, has Ben Casely. He leads very comfortably by 3.7 seconds, so he couldn't really ease off to prevent a further lap taking place. So it does now mean that we can enjoy this fight still for the lead of the rookie class and 5th and 6th overall for a further lap. And this time through, it looks as though Oliver Denning is seeing that he's got George Nutten right in his slipstream as they went up towards Redgate Corner. There is number 90, that is Steve Alvarez-Brown, running in the invitation class for this weekend. In the top 10 overall at the moment, having qualified last, 14th position, running in 10th place. Now we have had the change for the lead of the rookie class because George Nutten has made it through and ahead of Oliver Denning somewhere. So the number 45 car goes through and ahead. So that is without question now a change for position. We've got 3rd place Sven Thompson for the final time heading round through Coppice Corner, who still has enough daylight between himself and the Fangio class leader, which is Paul Denning, so as not to worry. But we have Ben Casely on course for victory number 3 of the 2022 championship season, and not only has he set the fastest lap of the race so far with a 1 minute 35.127, he is on course for the 40 championship points that he will pick up, so that will put him on 401 championship points. As we say, Darrell de Leon will remain the championship leader, but the lead advantage will have been whittled down to just 14 championship points with 1 further race to go. Ben Casely takes his 3rd win of the 2022 championship season. Tom Wood comes through to finish in 2nd position. That repeats what he did here at Donington Park, the opening round of the championship season. Sven Thompson comes through in 3rd place. 4th place is going to be Paul Denning, and 5th place will be up towards the start-finish line now. George Nutten will finish in 5th place ahead of Oliver Denning, who will complete the top 6. James Hadley comes through in 7th place. 8th place will go the way of the number 33 car in the hands of Paul Atherton. And then it'll be Brian Caldwell who finishes in 9th place. 10th will go the way of Steve Alvarez-Brown. And then we just need to see him over the start-finish line. And that will be the last of the finishers, because we saw retirement for James Ockenden, we saw into the gravel for Fraser McFadden, and of course the championship leader Darrell de Leon. A little bit of contact was made with his car, which I think caused a rear puncture for it, and that was why he ultimately lost control of the car and dropped it into the gravel trap down at the old hairpin. So Ben Casely is the race winner, and that now certainly means that we are poised for a brilliant championship battle later on today. The grid is already set as well for the Radical SR1 Cup, because it is based on their 2nd fastest lap times from qualifying this morning. And it should mean that we will see Darrell de Leon and Ben Casely, the 2 championship protagonists, line up on the front row of the grid for that final race of the 2022 championship season from Radical SR1 Cup. That's it from us from Donington Park at the moment. We've got, of course, more Radical SR1 Cup action coming up. The final race of the championship round about 5 to 5 this evening. So thanks for joining us for the penultimate round. We'll see you for the final later on this afternoon. Goodbye.